I switched myself and my family for phone service from Mint Mobile to AT&T to save a ton of money. And my family was with AT&T for over a decade. So it was just one of those things that you just routinely pay every single month and you don't really think about the change. But those Ryan Reynolds commercials, they inspired me. I want to be one of those 3 million customers with Mint Mobile versus the 250 million from AT&T.
$15 a month. Me to the moon and back. That's a great deal. Explicit enough marketing.
It's more than that, of course. It's more than just watching Deadpool 3 that's upcoming in the summer. Or, I mean, have you seen Free Guy? Ryan Reynolds was perfect in that one. It's more than just the whole Ryan Reynolds story. It's about saving money for an equivalent product. And not many times in life can you do this. Like switching to Mint Mobile had my mom asking, is there a Mint Mobile of insurance? And sadly, there's not a Mint Mobile of everything, but there is a Mint Mobile of a couple things, and those couple things that are, most people routinely pay for. Like many people are now switching to streaming services. This was kind of done like a decade ago. Not really many people doing it now in 2024, but cable cutting. My family switched from Comcast to YouTube TV, Netflix combination, and we occasionally pay for other streaming services, and that saved money, and you kind of getting a superior product now, one that you could pause and download and to watch at any time. And going from AT&T to Mint Mobile is that I can still watch a 1080p YouTube video on the go. I could stream any music or podcast. I could have unlimited text and calls. And going from an unlimited data plan on AT&T yearly is around $2,500 for my family. But transferring those 3 lines to unlimited data still on Mint Mobile is $960. So that's over $1,000 saved per year. And obviously, because you're going to have phone service for the rest of your life, that per year does add up a lot. So we'll get into like how Mint Mobile does this. Why did Ryan Reynolds take such a passionate 25% control of the company? But overall, Mint Mobile so far, in my experience, has been great, and I'll even talk about the transfer process as well. So how I originally found out about Mint Mobile, because I'm sure when people watch those Ryan Reynolds commercials, I'm sure a lot of people are aware of like the Ryan Reynolds phone service company that's like kind of has some green color hue to it. So like everyone's aware with the commercials, but like going to the actual product, there's 2 separate things. You actually gotta try out the product and switch your phone number over to a company. That is a pretty sticky step bridge that you got to cross. But how I heard about Mint Mobile was from this budget conscious tech YouTuber named Talos of Tech. His real name's Andrew. And he's like so tech conscious that even though he loves technology, he would switch to like older iPhones just to like save money. So when he switched over to Mint, and that was like, I think like 4 or 5 years ago, he's been on that brand and on Mint since then. So it's been like half a decade and he's been on it. And I'm like, if he's been on it and he's having no complaints, then I think I should give it a shot. And like over the past, I would say 1 to 2 years, it's always been in the back of my mind. I want to switch my family over to Mint, but we did have to pay off some phones. And that's how I gotta say a lot of these big 3, T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T, that's how they get you to stick with the brand, because if they offer you like a free phone with a trade-in, then you're locked into that company for 2-3 years until you pay off that phone. And I've been trying to like support my family to pay off their phones in full. That's what I've been doing recently with my last 2 iPhone purchases, so that when it came time to switch over to Mint Mobile, we were ready to do so and we didn't have to pay off any phone. So that's definitely a pro tip if you want to eventually switch to Mint Mobile. This random dude on the internet that's kind of incentivized to talk about Mint Mobile because Mint Mobile has a referral program where if you refer people to Mint Mobile, you get free months of phone service. So I was like, is there a catch here? How is it so cheap? And there's like kind of a catch with Mint Mobile, but like if all you care about is just getting reliable phone service and you could call and text people and browse social media on the go and look up maps directions, do all the normal phone things, if that's all you care about, then there really is no catch. But how Mint Mobile achieves the cost that it does is several different techniques. One is that they don't give away free phones. They're not like discounting like, oh, if you trade in this iPhone, this like iPhone 12 and like newer for the iPhone 15 and 16, you could get the iPhone 15 or 16 for free. Like Mint Mobile isn't giving away free phones like the big three carriers are. Mint Mobile is actually backing on the towers of T-Mobile. And in the past year, T-Mobile did actually acquire Mint Mobile. So Mint Mobile isn't really the whole David versus Goliath story that I was pitching at the beginning of this video. It still kind of is because you are paying way cheaper monthly cost for your phone service. But yeah, T-Mobile does kind of own it. So Mint Mobile backs off the T-Mobile towers. And that also kind of means that T-Mobile customers do have first priority, but like the vast majority of the time that doesn't matter because the speeds for your phone are plenty now, even with 5G kind of being a fraud. Mint Mobile also doesn't really achieve those super cheap costs unless you pay for things yearly. So to achieve that $15 per month, that's actually like stretched out to be on a monthly basis, but you actually pay for it yearly. So that could be a downside there. If you have a family plan, which I do, you could actually pay for it every 3 months, but even then it's not a monthly payment that you actually get away with those big carriers. And Mint Mobile doesn't have any in-person service. So when I wanted to switch my family over to Mint, I actually got 2 of the 3 lines on eSIM, and this was my first time trying an eSIM, and it was kind of flawless other than like this little glitch on the iPhone 12. But so far the eSIM since then has been great. And then if you wanted a physical SIM, you can't go into a physical store that like there's an AT&T store usually around the corner in most major cities. You kind of have to wait for it to ship 2 to 3 days, and then it arrives at your house, and then you could install the physical SIM into your phone. But with eSIM nowadays, you could technically switch from whatever major wireless service you have now to a Mint Mobile in like less than an hour. It's possible. And they even let you try out the service with an eSIM if you are hesitant about the phone service in your area. Now I do have to say, like, my family lives on the western edge of like the Miami suburbs. And I'll be honest, the service there was not the best. You were only getting like 1 to 2 bars compared to like the 4 or 5 that I would usually get with AT&T. And I think that's just because of my family living on that western edge. But like whenever I went into the city, and even now in Tallahassee, I'm getting more than just the 1 bar. I'm getting the more common 3 to 4. So talking about the importance of software when you don't have an in-person store, the web and the app are pretty well designed, and it's a pretty intuitive software layout. Everything's like very simply organized. It's not like trying to jam pack information everywhere. Got this super cute fox as a mascot. I'm all for super cute and adorable things, and that fox is definitely one of those things. And yeah, I definitely got to say the app is fun to use, and it even has like little funny messages when you're hopping onto the app. So anything to bring a little joy in the life, I say bring it on. And talking about the switchover process from AT&T to Mint, I didn't know it was that easy to transfer a phone number. You just get like your transfer pin from that carrier, send it over to Mint, and then you transfer your phone number, and then you have the same exact phone number that you've had all your life. Pretty simple. I thought there was a chance I might have to get a new phone number and then text everyone, hey, this is my new phone number, but I didn't have to do that. Also, I got to say the Mint customer service staff was actually super helpful. You get this like in the free package when you buy 2 or more plans. I don't know what happens if you don't have that plan. You don't access the Mint mobile phone customer service, but I think it's always free. But I could be wrong there. It should be always free. And they were like always helpful. And overall, I'm very satisfied as a customer. $15 a month for the 5 gigs, even though most people use over 5 gigabytes of data. Like when I was talking about switching over to Mint with a couple of friends, we looked at their settings quick to see how much data they already used for the month. And it was like only halfway through the month, and both of them were already over the 5 gigs. And my brother uses like 40 to 50 gigabytes of data a month. So for most people, that 15 gigabytes or that $15 for 5 gigabytes isn't really achievable. My mom is on that plan. I'm going to be on the 15 gigabytes per month option, which means a little bit of data conservation month to month. And then my brother's going to be on the unlimited. But that's how my family's going to pay for a phone service for 3 lines for only $700 a year compared to the $2,600 a year from AT&T. So I recommend everyone to switch to a Mint Mobile or any of these phone carriers that aren't the big 3. I think Verizon has a thing called, I think it's called a Clear or whatever Verizon's equivalent of Mint Mobile. I'll put it here. But like there's other phone carriers like Simple Mobile, and I'm pretty sure Metro PCS is under T-Mobile. But all of these non-major 3 phone carriers, I would say just switch to them and save money. And I do have to say that my phone service switched over to AT&T, but my family does still pay for AT&T Wi-Fi because that's only like $55 a month, and you could go slightly cheaper with like T-Mobile 5G home internet. That's I think like $50 a month. I don't really know if there's cheaper options than that for home internet, but since it's only $5 cheaper, that wasn't a really big priority to switch that. And I would love to pay for Starlink, but that's like $100 to $110 per month, and that's more for rural customers, not urban and suburban people. Ideally, Mint doesn't raise their prices anytime soon, and actually, relatively recently, they kept the prices the same, but boosted up the max data plans for every single plan. So like the 4 gigabytes per month, the $15 per month that you have to pay for that 4 gigabyte plan became 5 that it is now. And I'm not sure on what the previous 15 and 20 were, but they were lower. So now the service is getting better over time, and I equate that to kind of like how storage options are getting cheaper over time. Like before with the iPhone, you could only get like 32 gigabytes. And that was like, oh my gosh, you got a ton of storage. But now it's like 256 is the base. And over time, eventually in 10 years, 1 terabyte will be the base and no one will blink twice. And that's kind of how like phone service should be. Like the data plans should slowly go up over time. But yeah, that is my experience with Mint Mobile. You can use it internationally, but you have to pay for that separately. In the AT&T plan, that was automatically included, so that is kind of an extra add-on. But since you're saving so much money, the few times that you travel, you could just pay for that when you do it. Unless you're traveling like every single week, then maybe an AT&T or equivalent plan could actually be a wiser financial decision. But you would have to be traveling a lot. And then if you ever hit those like data caps on the month, you could purchase more data for that month, which I thought that was really nice in a pinch if I ever go over that 15 gigabyte limit in the future. And yeah, that's my experience with Mint Mobile. I hope Ryan Reynolds keeps on doing those commercials because honestly, I find them hilarious, and not many commercials make me chuckle here and there.